The Consumer Guarantees Act, the CGA, applies to consumers as it protects them from getting taken advantage of. It allows them to take back goods or services if they are not up to the standard that they should be. They are allowed to take back goods, get replacements and repairs if they need so, and so they are covered. The CGA also sets a minimum standard of guarantees that will happen and applies to all products and services. A consumer is someone who purchases goods and services for personal use. Businesses and organisations that buy consumer products or services from other businesses are also protected under the Act unless there has been a contract that removes the entitlement from the Act. When purchasing any products, consumers should always be aware of what the CGA is and what they are entitled to have. The CGA Act is ultimately there to make sure it protects the consumer's interests and ensures that products or services are of acceptable quality and standard. Under the CGA Act, when a consumer purchases goods, they must be of acceptable quality and exactly what the description of the good is. Otherwise, the consumer can fall under the Act to make sure they're covered.
When you are buying consumer goods or services in New Zealand from a trader, you are covered by the Consumer Guarantees Act, and a business can never contract out. However, this is if you're buying the goods for household use. If the product is going to be used for commercial use, it is indeed possible to contract out of the CGA. If you are a seller wishing to sell someone a lawnmower for commercial use, you will find yourself being able to contract out of the CGA. However, there are certain conditions that must be met. The two main conditions are that the contracting out must be fair and reasonable, and it must be in writing. What is fair and reasonable really will depend on the particular context, including the value of the goods or services, any difference in bargaining power, and whether or not both sides has access to a lawyer. Anyone wishing to look into this further should refer to the Consumer Guarantees Act, Section 43. Bargaining power refers to the extent to which a party was able to negotiate the terms of the agreement, and also whether a party was required to either accept or reject the agreement on the terms and conditions presented by another party. Any business who still thinks they are able to contract out of the CGA selling consumer goods for household use should refer to the cases held in the Disputes Tribunal. An example of this is a furniture shop who sold a man a two-piece lounge suite in January 2013. The Bush lawyer from the shop wrote "no returns" on the furniture label. However, this attempt to contract out of the CGA was tested in 2015. This was after 3 wooden slats that supported the cushions broke and a 4th even came loose. The shop refused to fix the sofa and the buyer went to the tribunal asking for their money back, $1,600 in total. The tribunal decided that these slats really shouldn't have broken, finding no evidence that the sofa had been mistreated, for example by children jumping on it, and the label carried absolutely no legal weight. It wasn't only found that the claim that the shop made was found to be nonsense, it was also claimed that the sofa was covered by a 12-month manufacturer's warranty. Such warranties do not trump the Consumer Guarantees Act of 1993. To conclude this section on the CGA, any business wanting to contract out really should remember these two things. Is it fair and is it reasonable? And if you're a business that sells goods to consumers that are for household use, you can forget about ever contracting out of the CGA. If you're a business wanting to know what to do to comply with this Consumer Guarantees Act, there are a few important guidelines you need to follow. If you're a business that sells products, you need to make sure that they are of acceptable quality, that they are fit for purpose, match the description given, match any samples or demonstrations given, are sold at a reasonable price if a price wasn't agreed beforehand, and they must be able to be legally sold. Additionally, you must make sure that the deliveries arrive at the agreed time and in good condition. You must have spare parts available and a way to offer repairs. This could be through an arrangement with the manufacturer or a trusted repairer who you know. If spare parts and repairs are not available at the time, you must let the customer know before finalising the sale. If you fail to meet one of these guarantees, a customer may get a remedy. This involves a repair, a replacement, or potentially a refund of the goods. Which offer you deliver to your customer really does depend on whether the problem is minor or on a more serious scale. If you are a company that offers services, You must make sure they are done with a reasonable level of skill and care. You must make sure that your services are fit for the purpose you and the customer agreed on. Your services must cost a reasonable amount if a price wasn't agreed beforehand. And you must complete your services in a reasonable amount of time if a time frame was not previously set. If you're a business that offers services to consumers, just like businesses that offer products, you may find that if your consumer does not receive one of the guarantees listed above, they may ask for a remedy. A remedy could be a repair, compensation, or refund from you. Which remedy that the customer receives depends on whether the problem is minor or serious.